Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Harmony. I'm a twin flame expert helping twin flames around the globe face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Welcome to my weekly glow show. Today's topic is the portal of the Golden City entering Avalon in this new energy, the new earth, and I'm going to share with you some energy updates and 3 ways that you can kind of be able to jump into this new energy to be able to create and choose your timelines and finding harmony. And so before I do though, I want to welcome you to Avalon, and I also want to share with you, looky who's home. I don't know if you can see him actually here. Looky Champ, look. This is Champ Avalon. Oh, there we go. He's kind of heavy there. We're having a reunion, and I just wanted to share with you the magic of Avalon. And this is Champ Avalon. A lot of you have heard me talking about this creature for the last several months, and he has been a representation of bringing Avalon into form, the new earth. And so today we're going to share that information. First of all, I can't even begin to tell you the extent of this knowledge and wisdom I've personally undergone. Technically, we are all restoring Avalon, and I'm going to share with you what that means, like I said, and becoming the goddesses of Avalon. And to do that, so I'm going to let him down and let him do his thing, but I wanted him to say hello because you guys have heard me talking about him for so much. So we are marking here in this new energy, the new earth, an astrological new year that started on the equinox. And that is the portal of the Golden City of Avalon. And I've been sharing this, how we're coming through a completion of an evolutionary cycle that started especially on August 21st of the eclipse, but I mean, it was even coming before that, of course, in a transition. But from that eclipse all the way up through, we have a full moon coming in Libra on March 31st. This has been a completion of energy that has been coming through with these deep, intentional it's like the intention of this energy has been to create this apex, to take us to the deepest space within ourselves so that we can hit our deepest dark to create our greatest light. And ultimately what is happening, I mean, the whole earth, everyone on earth is waking up and wanting more purpose, wanting more meaning, wanting more fulfillment. And so as we bring to close the completion of this evolutionary cycle, we've been doing all this collective work that's been coming collectively for a long time, but like the collective work really picked up speed between August of 2017 all the way through, started closing out at the end of February 2018. And we needed that collective energy, that collective work in order to tip the scale vibrationally as we were healing the wounds of the past so that we could reset the templates of the new future of how we were going to handle things going forward in a new way, a new paradigm. A lot of the healing that had been taking place in that time was the deepest part of the abandonment issues. And you know, so I want to kind of get a little bit more closer now to, we had, you know, at the beginning of this month of March here, 2018, we had the full moon in Virgo. And then we had, coming up to that, we had the new moon that came in on the 15th. And in that space now, that has got us prepared for the new astrological new year that started on the spring equinox here in the northern hemisphere of the sun entering Aries, which is the beginning of the new cyclic astrological new year. And what this is doing now, it's helping us to heal and restore the creative passion, and to be able to rise up as the wounded warriors that we were, and to stand up in our goddess empowerment here, and go forward creating from the higher self and letting go of all of the creation that we've done from the lower self in the past. So, you know, now today we have the Mercury going retrograde here on March 22nd of 2018. And ultimately, like, if you've been doing a lot of the work, this has really set you up to be able to enter this golden gate of manifesting and co-creating from a new timeline, that there's nothing really that can hold you back but your own limitations now. And what this retrograde is really all about is to help awaken the divine masculine. The divine feminine has been doing this great job of entering their greatest light and being able to connect to their higher selves and tap into more of their divinity and bringing into form that which they came here to do, be and have. And so this going up in light and in the enlightenment is, for the divine feminine, is causing the divine masculine to start to go into their deepest, darkest shadows, because the greater the light, the darker the shadow. And that's creating the awakening of their own self into a space of seeing their own signs, getting their own connection, wanting their own fulfillment. And this whole process of ascension is, I've been being shown 4 phases of that. So dependent upon where you are in your journey is dependent upon where you will be, your reunion will be, and all of the manifesting as well. So basically, the first phase of that ascension is about the rebirth of self and going across what I've been shown as the rainbow bridge and giving birth to your higher self and letting go of the lower self. And, you know, this is I won't go into the details here, but I do have the 9 stages of ascension that I actually have a video on. And I also, if you've not tapped into my 11-part video series, you can catch the link below. It'd be a great opportunity to check that out. But basically, here in the resurrection that's coming right now, through a lot of people have tipped the scale to creating this resurrection, is the transition between the lower self and the higher self. That's what a lot of the divine feminine has done, and a lot of them have went on up through the resurrection, which is creating the rapture, which is entering the golden city, which is, again, this golden city is what I'm being shown, Avalon, and a place of peace and magic, and a place to create, and a place to become perfect harmonic balance, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And it really is where we technically really fully align with ourselves and align with source, and then align with our purpose and align with our beloved and align with the vortex of our divinity, of what we signed up to experience, to do, be, and have, and we tap into that. And as we do that and we continue to expand through what I've been shown as the golden heart of creating oneness of that self and oneness with source, and embodying the truest nature of unconditional love within the heart, and wanting more meaning and wanting more fulfillment and wanting to learn and practice the laws of unconditional love. That is what is then bringing in the the reunion of not just yourself and your with source and with your purpose, but also with your beloved. And that's what's coming up here in the blue moon on January 31st, of the full moon in Libra, the second moon of 1 month, the second full moon of 1 month, creating what's called the blue moon. And this being in Libra is about relationships and about that relationship we have with our beloved, and creating more of the unconditional love in our life. And we've set the pace and the tone for that. So one more time, depending upon where you are, you're either continuing to go through a rebirth, which is trying to release your lower self and create and connect to give birth to your higher self. And then you have to resurrect out of that space, kind of like the metamorphosis process of the cocoon of the butterfly that's been inside of that cocoon and rebirthing and coming out and spreading wings and flying and expanding. That is the resurrection, expanding through the higher self into multiple dimensions of yourself, and then restoring that oneness within yourself and connecting and tapping into source and creating the one heart with all that is. That is puts you in the vortex, which is the rapture of the golden city, to manifest your destiny and your dreams, and then align with your beloved, which is the fourth part of this. So let's talk then about the golden city of Avalon. And you know, I've been shown so many multiple ways, as I mentioned, that, you know, when the earth downloaded the fifth dimensional energy, we then had to go through our ascension process, catching up to that fifth dimensional energy, tapping into the heavens and tapping into our higher selves to connect to the heavens, to then learn how to create from the higher self instead of the lower self in the old masculine ways, but creating from the higher self and bringing in and manifesting that which our heart desires. And this is the new earth. This is Avalon. This is the golden city. I started being shown the golden city towards the end of last year, around October, November, and being a place of magic and co-creation and a feminine empowerment. To give you an example here, how this fits into the Lost Lands, which I'm going to recommend a book here in I want to talk about, The Lost Lands by Lucy Cavendish. The magical history of Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon. I'm going to put a link to this below. I had been recommended by a client to get this when I started unfolding Avalon, which is around the time I was doing some work with being shown with Champ and realizing, you know, his middle name is Avalon and how it was connecting to what I was going through and restoring Avalon when I went to South America. That if you've not saw that restoration of Avalon from what I did with Tatiana Hudson down in South America, there's a beautiful video on the golden city of El Dorado, and tells the full story of how the divine masculine and the divine feminine prepare their individual selves before they come into union. And it was a true story, you know, legend of a true story from the naval portal of an energetic portal of a lagoon in Guadavita. So be sure to check that out too. I'll also put a link to that below because it's just I'll make a recommendation of the video. It's a beautiful story. I won't go into it here, but ultimately, like, if you track that story to now, it's the same thing we're doing in present time consciousness of the new earth and the new energy, and we're restoring the feminine empowerment, so to speak. Because ultimately, if we tracked back in Atlantis was a lot of divine masculine energy that was very self-destructive, and it was, you know, the fall of the Atlantis had to do with self-destruction and a lot of the hard ways, the masculine energy. And then in Lemuria had to do with more of the feminine expression and the flood of the Lemuria and the water and the emotions. And you know, it also was destroyed through the flood. And so we energetically, you know, those places are where the abandonment started from, and that's embedded in the DNA of our soul. And now this energy that we're going through is helping us purify our soul. And ultimately, Avalon is the perfect harmonic balance of the masculine and the feminine, which is actually restoring the feminine empowerment that we came out of the age of Pisces with the self-destruction of all the Atlantean energy that we just shifted in the 2012 as we shifted into from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius in December 21st of 2012. I talk about that in some videos prior too, so I won't go into the exact details of that here. But because of that masculine ways, those patriarch templates that were in place of all of this structure and hard energy, we coming into the age of Aquarius, we're restoring the feminine and empowerment and healing the wounds of the womb, where we create from. And in doing so, we're creating this harmonic balance of this energy that is producing peace and purity so that we can connect to inner peace and happiness. And that helps us to connect to the creation and the magic and the harmonic balance that is that we need to have to connect with all that is, so that we can rise up and be able to tap into those spaces and create that harmony. So finding Avalon is really about finding that inner empowerment mixed with the emotional expansion of self within yourself. And the energy around it is very healing with Archangel Raphael. And it's a lot of green. I've been shown that the energy that's related to Avalon is a green healing energy. And so if you're really searching for Avalon in today's new energy in the new earth, you'll find Avalon inside when you find inner peace and happiness and start to create from your higher self and start to tap into magic and find harmonic balance and connect to your destiny, so to speak. That's inside. But I will tell you from the history of the lands, and I didn't start reading this until over the last week, but to the part of the Avalon part at least, that its truest nature of its history comes from Glastonbury, England, which also is connected to Cornwall, England, which is connected to where my past life of healing of the swan energy that I talk about in my book, Twin Flame Code Breaker, and some of my own personal experiences that I have went through in my connection to England, and which, by the way, Champ, his heritage is from England as well, Staffordshire, England. And you know, the concept and the idea of naming him, I named him his middle name, Avalon, and, you know, 8 years ago, and had no clue that there was a real Avalon, you know, anywhere at the time. I knew it stood for like the inner empowerment and little warrior, basically, but I had no idea until like this last around November that there was an Avalon. I knew of Lemuria and Atlantis. I didn't know Avalon existed. And it's a place of magic. And, you know, I'm putting this on my bucket list because it's got so much heritage of my background and what I've been teaching and what I've been shown. You know, I want to get to Glastonbury and connect to the Avalon energy. It's in the era of King Arthur and Guinevere. And you can look up and research it if you've not been real connected. If you understand a lot about Lemuria and Atlantis, but you've not really had a lot of connection with Avalon, check it out, because it's what we're doing now in the new earth and the new energy. And it's really what that really is doing is healing the bridge between Lemuria and Atlantis, which both have connections into Glastonbury and England, and where Avalon is restoring and healing both sides of that, and the divine empowerment within the divine masculine of ourselves, and then also creating the emotional expansion and creating raw vulnerability and healing those wounds of the past sacred sexuality, tapping us into sensuality, allowing us to be able to create more pleasure and experience like the fun side of life without having to be so serious and so structured, to have more flow. And so basically, check this out. Like I said, I'm going to have a link below. And another thing that I found very comical, just to share, Champ has always had this royalty presence, and he's always sit in chairs, and you know, like for years and years off and on, when he has this royal presence, I call him Sir Avalon. And it's just so funny that, you know, it's connected to the King Arthur days and being very royal, a very royal space. And, you know, him having his connection being from England, he has a lot of fans, his own fan base in the UK and around the England area. He's the one that helped me tap into that global market into the UK, tapping my past life there. It was his assistance through this journey that's helped me with that, amongst so many other things. So I would actually like to pay tribute to my little spiritual partner in crime here. We've had quite the journey if you've been following us, and actually took off last week of going through our own portal of this Avalon energy, and healing and restoring and connecting on so many multiple levels and manifesting at the same time. So I want to share with you 3 ways that can help you tap into this golden city. And I feel like all 3 of these ways kind of connect and link together and create like a full circle of this, because we have to go through every part of this to kind of enter that golden gate. And one of the biggest things right now, when we look at what people is still going through the rebirth, that first part of that ascension I talked about, is that, you know, chaos creates change. So we have to have the chaos that we went through to create, most of the time, what it takes to force us to shift, because, you know, and shakes us up. And, you know, because a lot of times we don't always make those shifts on our own because of fears and other things like that. And it holds us back. And so we've been releasing, we need to learn how actually really to release the resistance, to release the constriction that's causing a clamp down on the flow of energy, because energy is ever changing and evolving, and we have to flow with that. And really where I'm being shown is we don't need to overcome another obstacle. Like, it's just not even no longer necessary. So we get to, this is going to flow into part 2 here. We get to choose our own timeline of where we want to create, because all timelines have collapsed. And that's why it's so difficult to technically predict like anything about future, and, you know, because it's already is, and it's a matter of what you choose and what timeline you choose to be in. And that you can skip and jump these timelines based on your own thoughts and based on your own manifesting skills, and your own vibration is what this ultimately boils down to. Because we're being able to manifest from our highest vibration. So if we've been going through this process of this ascension, and we've been going through the rebirth of letting go of our lower self and connecting to the higher self, and then we go in through the resurrection and we have tapped into the highest potential, that then creates and restores the oneness within us, that creates the rebirth of the rapture of our destiny and tapping into that destiny. So as we go through letting go and let go of those lower vibrations, we start to gain conscious clarity that raises our energetic vibration. And now we can manifest at our highest potential and our highest vibration. And so it just boils down to, like, where's your vibration? Where are you at? Where's your focus? Where's your thought? What do you choose? Because what you are still focusing on expands, and what you are, like, if you're still operating on some of the lower self and needing to let go of that, I want you to know that you have the power inside of you to jump a timeline and just get on with it. But you have to make a conscious decision and acceptance of that you're ready to move on. Now, in this process, and what this energy we've been doing has been creating purity, and like this intense energy we've had over this last month or 2 here in February and March has been about purifying the soul of the pieces that no longer exist and completing your soul contract, which I have a link below for that too. So if you've not worked on completing your soul contract and you're still being stuck in rebirth and you still have some lower self things to release, then I would recommend you, highly recommend you do that. And a link below. And if you're coming out of that if you've been letting go and you're stuck in the resurrection, meaning like you're split between, a lot of people get stuck and they're split between their lower self and their higher self, and they're operating out of both spaces. And that's because they haven't fully come on up into the resurrection in order to let go of their lower self. And to do that is really about the third one here, is finding harmonic balance, okay, and staying in this place of harmony. And it helps you stay in harmony between your higher self, your lower self, being able to learn to create from the higher self instead of the lower self. And you got to realize that to do that takes a lot of self-acceptance and learning to believe in you and learning to trust yourself and trust your guides and trust this process. And in doing so, what that ultimately means is we have to accept all that is within us and around us and the duality. And that a lot of times we've cut off a side of us, and we got to accept all sides of us and not try to cut anything out. Be open to everything and attached to nothing, and don't pay attention to the outcomes. Staying in the mindfulness of the present time consciousness of being able to tap into the harmony inside of you. And as you continue to let go, you continue to trust. And as the more you trust, the more you let go. And the more you let go, the more you trust. And the more you trust yourself, the more you trust your guidance and your intuition and the connection to that. And the more you believe in this process. And I will tell you, like, you really have to get to a place of this space of believing what you believe in. You'll see it when you believe it. And a lot of times, this is creating the unwavering faith that we have to connect in this space, to stay in that space of harmony. And that means that, to flow with the energy and don't be constricting, and keep our mind set in an aspect of, what do I choose to create? And do I have a fear? And if I have a fear, I'm being willing to face that fear. Because we can transmute it like that just by acknowledging that it exists and letting it go. Acknowledging it exists and letting it go. We don't have to hang on to it and create it as being another obstacle. I gotta, go up this hill, and it's gonna be another long drawn out process to learn this lesson. We're beyond that. We don't need to do that. So if we're still operating in a place of obstacles and that we need chaos to produce our change and to get us shook up, we're constricting that energy and we're creating resistance to the change, and we're the ones blocking and holding us back in the rebirth and holding us back to the lower self. And now, that is not to say you won't have those days once in a while, but you don't stay there. You let the voice of ego be heard for 1 minute, hear it out, listen to the inner child. And then once, it has its say, then you can say, okay, well, that's what the mind thinks. What does my heart desire? What does my heart want? What do I want to manifest? What do I want in my life? What is my destiny? What do I desire? I want, here's another key in this. Know that don't let anything rob you. There's nothing that's worth robbing you of the inner peace, joy, and happiness. That's your ultimate reward. That's your ultimate goal of the new earth and the new energy and the new heaven on earth, is experiencing peace, harmony, love, inner peace, happiness, joy. And as long as you stay in the flow of what brings you those emotional feelings, you will be gliding through your destiny that will take you into the river of all possibilities, co-creating and manifesting all your heart's desires. And I'm seeing this with clients that are going through this, that, I have several clients in the last week that have mentioned actually 2 different types. One is in the space of oh my God, instant manifestation, instant thought, instant. Have this thought, here comes what they're manifesting. That's how quick you can pick up in that vibration. And I've had other clients that have mentioned, how I talk about, which I also got from Wayne Dyer. You get into the vortex of all possibilities, you get in your manifesting role, and you show up in a space of how am I to serve, and everything shows up for you. So there's only really two things you have to do is say yes to your journey, and then show up every day saying, how am I to serve? And to do and follow the things that make you feel good, feel connected, feel fulfilling, feel joyful, and release the resistance behind it that you have to be stuck. If you're stuck and you're in the paradigm of being stuck and not moving forward, it is the prisoner of your own mind. And it's time to release that resistance and to unleash yourself. And so, again, chaos might create change, but we no longer have to stay in a place that obstacles are necessary. No, they're done. We're done. Just sign up and say, I'm done. Okay? And then the second again, what timeline do I want to live in? What I want to co-create? I want to recommend another book for you. Co-creating at its best. This is Dr. Wayne Dyer and Esther Hicks, which is also The Teachings of Abraham. Another very good book. Another client actually loaned this to me. And I've been working on these two books together. That's been helping me personally as I'm shifting into this new energy, this new timeline, entering the portal of the Golden City and creating from a place of inside and finding Avalon and peace, purity, beauty, and staying in the harmonic balance of the flow of all that is. So I'd highly recommend these. And know too that, in this process, as we go through this timeline and we come into this blue moon on the 31st and we start to enter the fourth phase of this ascension process, and that being the reunions coming up in April, you're going to find yourself in four areas. You're going to either be still rebirthing and stuck to the lower self. You're going to be resurrecting into the higher self. And if you're stuck on that, work on these three things to get you on through the hump. Restoring the oneness of your heart, connecting to your Christ consciousness, which is creating the golden heart, which is going to help you enter the golden city, creating the rapture of the place of milk and honey, and aligning with your destiny, tapping into source and connecting to all that is, which will then you will find your beloved in that space. They're already there. And you have to believe in magic to get there. And that's what this book is about, the lost lands. It's creating magic and believing in magic and knowing that the bottom line is whatever you signed up for already exists. All you got to do is tap in to that channel of your destiny and everything you need will appear for your journey. And that's where we're at right now in this energy. And it's not that this energy hasn't been here and people have already been manifesting from that space. I mean, Wayne Dyer's talked about this for years because I followed this for years. However, it's like not just like us doing this anymore from a place of talking about it and being one of a few people that understand what that means to get in there. We're talking the earth energy is in that space. The earth energy supports that. And this is it. This is what Wayne set the template for all these years that he's been saying these things. It's here, So co-creating at its best. And the lost lands of Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon to find your inner Avalon and connect with your destiny. Experiencing the peace and purity and connecting to the divinity of self. And I want to say one more thing about this finding harmonic balance and that duality I was talking about. Ultimately, when you enter that space of Avalon and you're in the Golden City, it is about having created the harmonic balance of your divine masculine side within you, okay? And in creating personal empowerment with the divine masculine inside of you, creating the harmonic balance of that with the divine feminine inside of you, that then is creating more expression of your emotional range and being able to be more raw, more open, more vulnerable with who you are in full expression of yourself. Creating harmony of those two things inside of you is creating the goddesses of Avalon. And the goddesses of Avalon are rising up and healing the wounded warriors in self, which is healing the wounded warrior of our beloved and also restoring their divine feminine empowerment, and then also helping them connect to their higher self, and then restoring their own divine masculine so they can return in a state of being able to be the divine masculine, to support you, to give you the things that you desire, and to be technically the man. You know, I'm going to go ahead and mention this book here. I've recommended it to a handful of clients, and in the past, I've recommended it to a lot of different people. It's by David Dita, and it's called The Way of the Superior Man. And I'll put a link to that below too, because even if you're the divine feminine and you want to know what it's like to have your divine masculine present and to have a divine masculine, first of all, you've got to stand in empowerment of having enough respect for self to claim that and to believe that you deserve it. But second of all, like, everybody's hearing what that's like, but nobody understands exactly what that means. So this book will really help you understand what a divine masculine really is and what it is, you know, set a template for you to know. I don't have it in front of me. I've loaned mine out and I don't have a copy. I actually plan to get another copy. But for whatever reason, it's coming through right here to tell you this because it's very powerful as well, very impactful. So I also feel guided to tell you another suggested video I'm going to put on here somewhere is going to be, if you have not connected to some of my prior videos, the Return to Oneness, a 5-part series, and you're still stuck in that rebirth, and even if you have followed me, it's time to go back and to revisit that. Even no matter where you are in this journey, it's still good because everyone's trying to connect to more purpose and more meaning. And even the people that are coming on through, that I'm seeing coming on through into this full resurrection, which I see taking place and have been shown, and also been shown by clients and where they're at in their evolution, that Easter being April 1st, coming out of this March 31st blue moon, that this is the time of exactly what I'm saying, the resurrection into the rapture. So we're here. We're, just choose your timeline. Choose your battles, but don't let people walk all over you. Stand in empowerment, because this energy is also about setting a lot of boundaries and claiming what your truth is and speaking your truth and not allowing people to pull you down to their vibration and being able to stand in empowerment in your truth. So there'll be several ways to glow forward with me listed below. Much love to you, many blessings, and may you always face your fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Namaste.